Morning, everyone. It's Jeffrey Bershaw from Avanti Destinations. I've got Michael and Lee with me today. Michael's a Latin product manager, and Lee is lead in our reservations department. So Michael Field, Lee Young. Sorry, I apologize. You should see this floor panel here. It is obviously the top right is Easter Island. Down the bottom looks like Cartagena, but depicting the colonial cities of Central and South America. And then up in the upper left, more of it looks like Bolivia, Atacama area, as well as down the bottom, definitely the wine areas of Central South America. So quickly to get going here, we're going to do a quick introduction to Avanti Destinations for those of you who aren't too familiar with us. And so first off, we do have a Go 365 travel year round. This is depicting Costa Rica. It is an e-brochure, so it's accessible via our website, and you can certainly send your clients to it. But if you haven't checked it out, you should. We also have a $50 bonus commission happening right now, all the way through February 28th. There is a minimum value as far as the booking is concerned, but that information is also available on our website. You've probably gotten some emails. If you're not on our newsletter list, please sign up. That way you get all of the wonderful information that we send out weekly. And the Go 365 is very prominent still in those promotions, but it's a cool catalog. There's lots of things to click through. It is a bit interactive, so please check it out if you haven't already. Now, we are your one-stop travel source. As an FIT or independent vacation specialist, we take care of your clients from beginning to end, providing air, transfers, tours and sightseeing. We're going to cover a lot of different accommodations, some of the unique accommodations that Michael has brought on for 2018, as well as some pretty cool tours and cultural, experiential types of travel. There is rail in Peru, and we actually have a new program with Belmond that we're going to cover pretty quickly. We've got a lot of small ship cruises, predominantly in the Galapagos as well as in southern Patagonia. We do a lot of pre and post cruise, and I think we'll probably talk a little bit about that as we go through this presentation today. Travel protection is always something that we highly recommend you get, even if you don't do it through us. For your clients, but we do provide travel protection, and there's cancel for any reason clause in there as well. And you can add a TA fee or a travel agent fee up to 15% of the gross of the booking. Of course, there's a whole lot more. We do have, hopefully we'll have an Avanti 101 course for those of you who aren't too familiar with Avanti, and that'll be coming out pretty soon via the newsletter list as well. A wonderful picture here of in Bolivia. You actually have been to this region, haven't you, Lee?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bolivia and the salt flats.
And the salt flats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get to stay in the salt hotel?
I did.
Oh.
Very unique experience.
Yeah. So there's a hotel made of salt bricks. Pretty spectacular.
Absolutely, Luna Salado.
see, Michael even knows it. I'm just giving him a hard time. All right, so Central America. These are the major areas that we're offering in Central America. I think it's pretty much all of Central America. Costa Rica, Belize, Guatemala. We're going to cover pretty much all of these have new, except for maybe El Salvador doesn't. We don't have anything new in El Salvador this year. So
yeah, so Costa Rica and Belize obviously are big hitters in Central America and where the most volume goes to. Obviously, there's more infrastructure in both those places. But Guatemala, Nicaragua, Panama are on the rise. There's really a lot more demand coming in now. A few years ago, about 4 years, we added Nicaragua, and then last year we added Honduras and El Salvador. We'll talk about Roatan a little bit later, which I think is an underrated fun and fun destination.
Definitely. And then South America. This is what we're focused on for South America. I think we Uruguay?
No Venezuela, everybody.
No Venezuela, yeah.
Unfortunately, hopefully a few years down the line we'll get there because there's a lot of natural beauty.
Yeah.
But we're not there quite yet with some of the
Venezuela's not there yet. It's not ready for Avanti-style travelers. But Colombia, a lot of good growth in Colombia.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's Santa Marta, Medellin, some of these areas is a lot more, the perception of Colombia is changing in terms of it previously, the concerns of the 80s and 90s as a more of a violent
bygone era.
destination. That's gone. Last year there was an agreement with FARC and the government, and during this peace agreement now, it's a very wonderful time to travel. Rates are relatively reasonable for a South American destination, and we've added and highlighted some certain areas like the natural beauty of Santa Marta and Medellin, which is more of a university museum town. Great place.
We'll cover some Peru, new stuff in Peru, Chile, Argentina, Uruguay. Did you have anything?
Not too much to add in Uruguay. You know what people tend to do is they will be in Buenos Aires and they'll take the hydrofoil over to Colonia for the day. On occasion, we get a few people staying overnight. Last year, we tried to include the wide region of Uruguay, and it's still something that we offer. We not including it in the brochure this year because there wasn't a whole lot of demand, but we have options all over the place. So even if it's something that you don't see in the brochure, that's part of the reason why we highlighted Go 365, and that why we're updating our websites and some of these microsites for the country so we can give you more robust product. We can tell you all the options that we have, and we're not restricted into, hey, we have 116 pages to print out, and this is the only product we have. We have a lot more than what you can see in the brochure.
Yeah, definitely. And then Brazil as well, wonderful destination.
Absolutely. Starting to see a little bit of a comeback just in the last month or so. But
you got a nice property in Manaus that we're going to feature.
I'm really excited about that. Highlight Salvador a little bit, and we're going to talk about those two destinations specifically in Brazil. So
we kind of covered all this already as far as definitely there's Central and South America do have a lot of soft adventure options. We've seen the micro adventure coming in more and more into people's itineraries, basically, an afternoon or a full day soft adventure added on to a, cultural and foodie type of vacation. But, I think that we're, Michael's trying to give Guatemala some new highlights, different way of going about and doing things. But it's a wonderful destination, probably one of my favorite cultural destinations in Central America.
Absolutely.
Lots of Galapagos vessels coming on board. I mentioned about the Belmond Andean Explorer. That's we'll cover that, and then a whole bunch of new regional highlights. And we'll talk more about regional highlights here in just a bit. But discover the Maya in Guatemala.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in just a sec. I just want to.
Oh, you wanted to say something else?
I do, just because
right.
I'm really excited this year, not only because of the look of the brochure, but the product that we've added in. It's a time that we have new offerings where we're really focusing on some of these boutique products and destinations that are off the beaten path a little bit. You can come to us when you want to go to Arenal and Guanacaste in Costa Rica. You can come to us with Buenos Aires and Rio and Lima and Cusco and Sacred Valley. We also want to highlight some extensions that you can do, things that are maybe complicated for anybody to try to do on their own, and passengers are often more likely to come to you, the travel agent. You want to come to us to get some expertise on how to streamline that trip, how to take advantage without, spending one night in every single hotel where you're living out of your bags. We want to make it so it's a satisfying overall trip, and our TCs, including Lee here, who's trained them very well, they are extremely knowledgeable. We take a lot of pride in sending a lot of our employees down on fam trips, whether it's to Asia or Europe or Latin America, but that is the best way that people can know about it, and they feel comfortable in selling that product and putting together an ideal itinerary for your passengers. Currently, right now, actually, we have a few employees along with a few travel agents, and Harry Dalgard, our owner here, headed on down there as well to Nicaragua, where they're doing a fam trip. They're in Granada. They're going to be out in the southern Pacific beaches. We're going to talk about a new property called the Inn at Rancho Santana out there as well. And I just think I want you guys to be aware that we do send our people there. They know what they're talking about, and they're going to help you make the sale.
And connecting everything together.
Absolutely.
Which is key. And so this is a connecting.
Yeah, so with this new Discover the Maya in Guatemala RVP, Guatemala for many years has kind of gone up and down with a little bit of volume, but we do have a package now that incorporates all of the 4 highlights of Guatemala. You have Chichicastenango, which is this beautiful market, and the Church of Santo Tomas, which is right inside of the market that you get to stop at. Very interesting colonial destination, cool little charming town, very welcoming people. Outside of Chichi, you have Lake Atitlan, which is more of a natural beauty. You have the volcanoes out in the lake, but they also have the Solola market, and in some of the cities out there, there's just some makeshift markets as well that you can stop at. Authenticity is what Guatemala is all about. Antigua, colonial destination, really interesting architecture, and then up at Tikal, which are just the magnificent Maya ruins. We highlight all of them in this Discover the Maya package. What we do in Guatemala is a little bit different.
Didn't clean that one up.
That's all right.
Well.
The plane's going. You do have to take a flight out from Guatemala City up to Flores so you can get to Tikal. It's only about an hour and a half. It's not too bad. And the reason that we wanted to focus on the package portion of Guatemala, because it is different in the way we sell it. We can do it FIT completely, any kind of private services. But what our supplier does down there is they have a van, about 12 to 16 passengers, and people can come and go, but you have a guide with you almost the whole time. So it's similar to a small escorted group. Sometimes when you get up to Tikal, you'll have a different guide than you have down in Chichi and then Lake Atitlan. But one of the benefits of that is the rates are really reasonable. So you can get a smoking deal in Guatemala for a 7-night package and get to see most of the highlights. What I love about Guatemala, and I always find this a really interesting fact, is that there are 19 different languages spoken within Guatemala. The garb that is used in each of the different regions when it talks about the colors that they use varies so much, and that diversity comes out in authenticity with the locals, and you get to communicate with them, well, as best as you can if you speak one of those 19 languages, I guess. But no, they're really friendly and smiling people, and it doesn't feel like a tourist trap in the markets because they're really known for those. Most of the people who are selling there, they have their table in front of them with their knickknacks that they're selling, and they're also making them right there. So you see that it's the person who's making it is selling it to you. It's not some second-hand industry. They do it because they have a history of doing it.
But this is still pretty ambitious. I mean, you're spending, one night in 3 different places. You'll notice that it says 3 nights in Guatemala City, and that's because, your clients have to fly in Guatemala City, spend the night in order to go up to Chichi, and then when they're coming back from Antigua before heading up to Tikal, they're spending a night, and then spending the night in Tikal, and then coming back, and one more night in Guatemala City before they fly out and come back to the States. This is a recommended vacation, and we're going to go through a couple more of them. I promise the rest of the maps won't have an airplane and a line out in the middle of nowhere. So anyway. Discover southern Costa Rica.
So I
what was the impetus behind this?
Yeah, so this is something we've actually sold in the past. For years, there's this place called Drogon Lodge, and on the next screen you'll see a map of it. So it's about 2 hours south of San Jose, and I had the great fortune of going out with our supplier in May and going and seeing the Quetzal, which, Guatemala and Costa Rica are the 2 places where you can really see the Quetzal in Central America.
That's a bird, by the way, if you don't know.
It's a colorful bird. And I love to travel. I'm not a bird watcher. That is not the core of what I do. I don't bring my checklist that I need to see this particular bird and note it down to tell everybody what I see. But the experience of out in Trogon, where you wake up early in the morning, the naturalist guides have everything set up for you already, and you're just kind of following them, and they hear the bird calls, and they'll get you in the right position, and you can take shots with your camera of the birds. It really was an interesting, unique, while you're in-depth wildlife experience.
It's a cloud forest.
What's that?
It's a cloud forest.
It is. It's a cloud forest. It's beyond just the bird watching that you could do there. on site at Trogon Lodge, they also have a beautiful waterfall and infrastructure for trailheads. So you can kind of wander off on your own if you want and explore by yourself, or you can go with the naturalist guides who are always available for you there. When you continue on with Discover Southern Costa Rica after Trogon, you go to Dominical, which is well known for the mangroves that they have, wildlife, and whale watching. There's also great surf down there too. So a lot of people go surfing in the Dominical area.
Beautiful beach too.
Yes, yeah, gorgeous beaches. Then you can continue up to Manuel Antonio. Manuel Antonio is my favorite destination of all in Costa Rica because the national park where you get to see sloths and howler monkeys, located also in this kind of isolated, picturesque beaches right in the park. A lot of the properties out there I highly recommend because they're up above the city, and it's not, most of them, just be aware, you're not walking to the beach from. However, what you get is just spectacular views from above. Certain properties, even along the peninsula, you can see both sides. So you're seeing the bay and you're also seeing the Pacific. And it's just really a stunning region. And this is a great way for wildlife explorers, for adventurers, and it's easy. So you can fly right into San Jose internationally. Almost anytime you get in, before 3 o'clock or so, you can transfer down to Trogon. You spend your 2 nights there. Go see the Quetzals, go do some waterfall hiking, then continue on to Dominical for some whale watching and adventure surfing if you're interested in it, and then up to Manuel Antonio. From Manuel Antonio, you either can drive, we do have a plane there, you also can fly back to San Jose and return back internationally. It's a very efficient trip, and these are destinations for people who've already been to Costa Rica once. Honestly, those people are going to Tortuguero and Arenal and Guanacaste, maybe Monteverde their first time, but in a second or third trip to Costa Rica, you get out there and explore a little more.
Yep. Good, good. And just notice that this package, as it is not including in the brochure, or not in the brochure, but on the website, it's not including a night in San Jose, and that may be required depending on your client's flights. Belize.
Yeah, so
I thought this was a really cool place.
It is a cool place. And you know what, there's more and more of these kind of popping up in Belize because there's so many keys out there that they've turned them, and they found a way in Belize where they're super sustainable in the way that they're developing a lot of these private islands. It's difficult figuring out how they're going to get all the resources that they needed, but they are on the cutting edge with technology and sustainability, providing solar panels and sustainable sewer systems. There's a lot that they're doing out there. Hatchet Key is just outside of Plasencia. So for those of you who don't know, Plasencia is about an hour flight from Belize City, south. It's also.
And we'll show you that in the map here in a second.
Yeah, you get a sense of it. The package includes a snorkel to the turtle spot where you get to see some of these large marine turtles, which is really spectacular. I mean, swimming right up to them. They're really friendly, and they just look so elegant the way that they're floating around. I was, very fortunate. Gosh, this job is so difficult. But recently, both Lee and I were in the Galapagos, and we got to see some marine turtles.
You got to swim with the turtles?
And it was just spectacular. I mean, I'm going to have that memory for a time. It's really beautiful. Sea lions out there, too. But in this case, the marine turtles that you get to see. The property itself is very, very nice. It recently opened just a few years back, and it's really been renovated, and it looks spectacular. As you can see from the
flying from
here,
Belize City down to Plasencia. Your clients could spend some time in Plasencia as well. It's a cool, laid-back town.
It really is.
And it's got a bit of a Caribbean vibe to it. And then going out to Hatchet Key for 4 nights.
Yeah. So Jeffrey makes a really good point. I think it makes a whole lot of sense to spend a few nights in Plasencia as well, because you are going to be isolated out on this private island. So it's a good combination. Spend 2 or 3 nights in Plasencia because you can do some soft adventure stuff inland, whether it's zip lining or the Monkey River. There's a bunch of places you can go to.
Mm-hmm. All right. Costa Rica.
All right. Sarapiqui, which is the opposite direction of where Trogon Lodge is, which is 2 hours south of San Jose. It's about 2 hours north of San Jose. Really cool, also rainforest out there. It's a lodge, relatively rustic, but you're going there for the experience. I mean, the furniture is modern. It's a very comfortable place, but you're not going there to stay at the hotel. You're going there to explore. So on site, they have this adventure center. You can do a whole lot with it. Horseback riding, canopy, rafting, rappelling. There's a lot of soft adventure options that you have. We also added in, and I'm more of a passion project kind of thing. I'm really hoping that we can get people interested in this. It makes sense logistically also for a lot of itineraries, but if we can get you out there, you spend a day with the local indigenous community at the Conservation Learning Center, and there's multiple activities that you can do in which you're volunteering just for a day. Interacting with children, where you can do a little bit of English teaching. It is just a day, so don't expect to be fluent by the end of the day.
Nice.
But what I like is all the agro-tourism. It's a coffee region as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the locals in Costa Rica, it's not exactly known as a cultural destination. It's known for natural beauty and soft adventure. And what you're going to get here is a little bit more of a cultural experience. And they're going to give you in depth about how they've been growing coffee out there, being able to plant a tree. Just spend some time with the local community. It's a satisfying experience that you're going to come home with, and you'll remember that day for a long time.
Yeah, but one thing I wanted to show you, this is, the northern part of Costa Rica here, and this is where the property is. The Sarapiquí River is right around here, but, this is Tortuguero, then you have, where's Guatemala? Right here, and then you have Arenal up here, Montevideo down here, and then this is the Guanacaste coastline going into the Nicoya Peninsula. So this is something that you could add on for your clients as well, through, as they're going Tortuguero to the lodge, and then going to Arenal as well. So it's not, this is a regional highlight, and it's just to show not a new destination, but giving it a new light, if you will, of something that you could add on for your clients. And it's an experience, no less. And lots of soft adventure options too.
One of the issues that we can have are destinations that are hard to connect to, and even if they're beautiful, it's hard for us to convince people to get off the beaten path and get out there. This is perfect though, because as you can see, just a couple hours north of San Jose, you can connect it very easily with Arenal. So you can fly in internationally to San Jose, and again, if your flight comes in before 3 o'clock, you transfer up here. You spend your 3 nights, and then it's just an hour and a half to 2 hours drive out to Arenal. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey made a really good point too. You could do Tortuguero beforehand and then connect up with Sarapiquí, continue on to Arenal. A lot of people end up going all the way to the Pacific, and then they fly out of Liberia on the other side.
Yeah. And that's what Lee and her team do every day, is all these recommendations.
Absolutely.
Now we're going, did I jump? Did you have something else?
No,
okay.
Perfect.
Going to the Galapagos. Yeah. These, this map here and the images are all from the new brochure. I swiped them last night, threw them on this presentation. So just to make a quick introduction to this, because it's kind of out of context to a degree. If you don't have the brochure, you're not going to probably get the brochures. If you pre-ordered, you'll get them this week sometime, or maybe next week, depending on where you're at, but more than likely this week. But all these numbers here are in correlation to the animals that are over here. So depending on what your clients want to experience, it is a nature and, flora and fauna, whether it be, above the water, on land, or underwater. Both are easily accessible and right there for your clients to get up close and personal. And Lee's nodding her head. She's very passionate about the Galapagos, folks.
I've been there 4 times, and it's just one of the most special places in South America.
Yeah, I think this year, what we've done with the Galapagos, we actually added a couple extra pages to the brochure because we wanted to explain a bit further. In order to make that happen, I did unfortunately have to take a few away from Brazil, just because of circumstances.
Heartache.
Very hard for me, as in about 6 weeks or so, I'll be moving to Brazil. So it was a difficult decision, but I'm happy we did it because it's a complex destination for you all to sell. And we do a lot of work here on trying to train our staff on how to sell it. You saw that first page, that slide.
Sure, I'll go back.
And just because you can see all these numbers, the amount of wildlife that you want to see, and the differences between each of the islands. There's such a variety of itineraries that you can use.
Geographically and fauna-wise.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're going to want to see as much as you possibly can. Certain passengers are very specific about this particular species they want to see. A lot of other ones are, okay, these are my dates. This is generally my budget. You know, how can we work within this? What's the best itinerary?
Yeah.
How many nights can I get on a cruise? Really what we've done is added more cruises because we need more departure dates. We need more availability. We want to work around the passengers. We want to make life easy for you. And there's a lot of ships that are really high quality, and all of the ones that we offer, we've inspected. We know that they're up to standards. We're very happy with our inventory of cruise ships right now. We've also tried to explain a little bit more in the brochure the difference between doing a land itinerary in the Galapagos and doing a cruise itinerary. The cruises is something at Avanti that we push, because that's just the best way to explore. You're traveling more often, it's more efficient, so you get to see more islands. The land itineraries you're doing day trips from, especially the ones where you're staying in Puerto, which is where the major Baltra, it's the same island where the major airport is.
Right here. Oops, I just made a mistake. I was going to show you. There's Baltra right here. Most of your clients will be flying into Baltra.
Absolutely, and then down at the bottom part, exactly. So at the bottom part of Baltra, you have Puerto, that's where most of the nice hotels are located, and where people kind of set up base camp where they want to do day trips from. Now, what we've done to accommodate people who maybe aren't comfortable with the cruising because they get seasick, whatever it might be, fears, we also have some options now where you get to do a little bit of island hopping. What that means is you're staying in hotels, but on multiple islands. This includes Puerto we talked about earlier, San Cristobal, and Isabela. Those are the three islands that allow for hotels to be built on them. It gives you access to get closer. So for me, on this last trip, I went down to Española Island. We keep jumping back and forth, but I just think seeing the map helps a lot. So Española is way down here. You can't really do it as a day trip from Puerto but you can from San Cristobal. It's easier to get to. So what's great is that the island hopping experience allows you to get to some of these other islands that you wouldn't be able to see if you were just based in Puerto because you can only get to certain islands from there. And what we've done here is these are smaller ships. They're just day trips. They're really fast boats. They can get from place to place much quicker. And these are, depending on the itineraries, you see 3, 4, 5, or 7. We have multiple options for you, depending on which islands you want to go to and which ones you're going to see. We have really robust itineraries that you can see that's descriptive. You can pass along to the clients. There's a great sales tool. If they want to see certain islands, those day-by-days are all set up for you.
But we have a lot of new vessels as well.
We do. I don't want to go too nitty-gritty detail about all these vessels, but I do just want to mention a few items about
Give them some pictures so they know the difference. I think the key to think about here is, and I'm sure Lee will support me in this, is, us knowing what type of traveler your client is, what they want to see, and when they're traveling, and matching all of that information to a particular vessel or a couple of different vessels, whichever is available during that time, and getting in the budget as well.
Definitely.
Because there's a pretty good range as far as budget is concerned.
It's primarily the dates that the client has available, and then we check availability to see what might work for that time period. And also the number of people. I mean, you can't do quads, and you can rarely do triples, so that's a factor
Always
to take
something
into
to think about.
consideration as well.
And it's a big family destination, so a lot of families are going. It's
and the minimum age is 7 usually for the cruises.
Yeah, and I wouldn't recommend any kids under 8 or 9, to be honest. I'd love to take mine out there, but I don't think they're quite ready for it. It's just you know, it's a lot of hiking around. It's a very structured experience because you only have a certain amount of time on each island, and you're kind of following the guide. So there are some family departures with the Origin is one that's a new ship that we'll show you in a little bit.
There's the Origin, speaking of which.
Here we go. So brand new ship, just built. It is part of a company that we've been working with for years that has a couple different yachts, 10 cabins, just a really beautiful modern jacuzzi and sun deck area. They do have the fitness center. You know, I don't know who does that when you're going to the Galapagos, but clearly there are some people who do. So it's one of those, you can tell by just having something like a fitness center, that is a very modern ship, and they're trying to accommodate to the modern traveler.
Correct. And they're taking day trips every day. And sometimes
twice a day.
So typically what you're doing, each itinerary is a little bit different, but normally you have a land experience where you're doing a hike, and then either snorkel or another hike the second part of the day. So there's always
depending.
Yeah, exactly. 2, potentially 3.
You have a morning excursion and you have an afternoon excursion.
I know we're going to get some diving questions, so we'll probably talk a little bit about that later on. And why Passion?
Yeah, so the motor yacht, the Passion, it's actually part of Wild Aid, which is a charity that sometimes they charter. It's a celebrity charity. I think Daryl Hannah, is that what Lee said? I believe is you know, part of that Wild Aid process. But they do have a lot of other departure dates that, of course, aren't chartered, and that's why we're selling.
That's a good-sized boat with only 6 cabins.
Exactly. Very, very intimate experience. It is 1-to-1 in terms of number of passengers to number of crew members helping you out.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a small group for you, very personal experience. And is recently renovated, just looking nice right now.
Yeah, it looks like a good boat. Another yacht.
So another one that's new to us here and also new to the Galapagos, just a few years old, is the 9-cabin Natural Paradise. I like it because they do have 3, 4, and 7-night itineraries. We just talked about the Passion and the Origin. Both of those are 7-night itineraries, which I think is the best way to do it if you can, but most of our passengers don't really have 7 nights. So when you're looking for 3 or 4 nights, a little bit shorter, and maybe a post-stay in Puerto Ayora, Natural Paradise is a very good option for you. Also, they have a really spacious sun deck area, and I definitely think that talking to the ownership of Natural Paradise, they're very excited about the amount of money that they invested in the product. So I'm glad that we have that on offer now.
And if your clients, you know, have a choice, 3 nights really is not long enough for the Galapagos. They need to do at least 4 nights.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. Push that as much as you can because
4-night cruise.
It's so expensive and it's so special that the longer you can spend, the better.
And it's typical. I mean, there's people that go back to the Galapagos multiple times. Lee is fortunate to have gone 4 times. But
not many people have that.
Yeah, usually it's a once in a lifetime experience. So, you know, and the other thing that I always stress is, you know, well, everybody from the Latin team will tell you, you know, if your clients are going out to the Galapagos, spend 2 nights in Quito or Guayaquil on the mainland before going out, just in case something happens to the travel. You know, flights do get canceled, and you don't have that. You need that buffer. So
it's really important.
Yeah. And we don't even have to really tell you that because we will be forcing that on you. There is no option when you call us. You got to spend 2 nights in Quito. It's just too much risk if you miss the ship. So get those extra nights.
And plus, it's just a cool city. So there you go. Belmond going down to Peru. This doesn't say Peru, but we'll show you a map here in a minute that explains it. But Belmond Andean Explorer, one of the new lines for Belmond. And Lee just happened to experience this product a month ago.
Shocking.
Yes, I had the pleasure of doing the Andean Explorer, and the itinerary is really a good one. You know, Cusco to Puno, and then Puno to Arequipa, and you're not actually moving. I mean, the train is stationary when you're sleeping, which is probably a good thing because you're not covering that much territory really. But the
It's a long
scenery.
train ride. It's like,
Like 8 hours
Yeah.
between Cusco and Puno, and
yeah,
a little longer between.
but not bad when you're on a Belmond product.
No, absolutely not, absolutely not. And you do really go high altitude from Puno to Arequipa. I think we were at 14,000 feet at one point. I recommend the Cusco to Puno Arequipa itinerary because of the scenery. If you were to do it in reverse, you would miss out on the beautiful scenery between Arequipa and Puno.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing to be aware of, the common areas are lovely. The food is fabulous. The service is outstanding. The cabins, the best cabin is definitely the double cabin. The twin cabins are very, very small, and the bed is quite small.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think that we
Stressing.
should stress the
double.
Yes.
All right, there you go. Some insight from Lee. So this is the full Monty going from Cusco to Puno to Arequipa.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now, so why is someone going to go to Arequipa?
Well, Arequipa is very much underrated. In Arequipa is a beautiful city, a colonial city with a lot of white buildings because of the material,
Mm-hmm.
building materials. But Coca Canyon is the attraction in the Arequipa area, and it's one of the deepest canyons in the world, and it's very, very scenic, and you have terraces that are hundreds of years old that
Mm-hmm.
are still the people are still farming in much the same way that they did, hundreds of years ago. And then one of the highlights is the Cross of the Condor, and at I think it's 8 or 8:30 in the morning, all these condors come up from the canyon floor, and you're seated up there, and the condors are like 8 feet from you. I mean, it's just,
and they're huge birds, folks.
Yeah, magnificent. But it's a cultural experience and wildlife, and I think that Arequipa is overlooked.
You sold me. All right, going down to Argentina, kind of crisscrossing a bit here. But the reason that I did this is you're going to see a map here in a second that shows the two different areas that we're going to talk about in central or northern Patagonia, I should say, in the Lake District. But so this property.
So just outside of Bariloche, about 45 minutes away, it's this beautiful log cabin located right on a lake with a lot of trekking and water activities that you can do right there. It's a full board property. You are a little isolated out there, but for a 2 or a 3 night experience in the Lake District for any soft adventure seekers, they also have really wonderful food.
Mm-hmm.
They brought a chef out there from Buenos Aires who is very well known, and I've heard spectacular things about.
And then, so this is the map that I'm showing you. This is where the Villa Angostura is, right here. So this is Bariloche, and then just going north. And then we're going to talk about Pucón here in just a half a second when I get to the next slide. But I wanted to show you guys where this is located. Puerto Montt, which is going to be the gateway to the Lake District on the Chilean side, whereas Bariloche is the gateway on the Argentine side. And then Puerto Madryn is over here, and you've got some options there in Puerto Madryn as well. Not a lot, but not a lot of people go there.
Exactly, whale watching.
Yep,
it's the big thing.
It's the big draw. Definitely.
Argentina is a very large country, and it's unfortunate that people from the United States usually have a limited amount of time for their vacation.
We're all time poor.
Exactly, and the first-time visitor is going to go to Buenos Aires, to Iguazu, to Mendoza, maybe Calafate, and there's so many areas in Argentina to explore. It requires, another trip.
How many times have you been to Argentina?
3 or 4.
Yeah, see, she hasn't seen it all either. She's seen a lot, though. All right, and then just talking quickly about Pucón. A lot of Europeans go here, but not so well known from the North America side.
Yeah.
but it's still a soft adventure. I mean, all of the Lake District, if you're staying in any of these towns, there's lots of things to see and do. And it's typically, it's a cultural as well as soft adventure.
Yeah, you can't say enough about this property itself. Hacienda Vida out in Pucón.
Yeah.
You have to fly into Temuco, so it's not a simple extension. It has to be a destination in itself. But the reason it's worth it, it's this Swiss family that owns it. There's so much to do out there. Our supplier took their whole team and went and did a fam trip there, and they were just raving afterwards about the quality of the food. They do cheese making, there's horseback riding, and then a whole bunch of kayaking and windsurfing and other water activities that you can do out there.
One thing I would say about the Vera Vera is that it would be a perfect combination with some of the wine lodges in Chile.
Mm-hmm.
If someone, your upscale clients.
As a combination, so doing the northern Patagonia as well as the valleys outside of Santiago.
Right.
Yeah. And actually, the property itself does have a relationship with Matetich, which is a very well-known winery and wonderful villa for people to stay at.
And then we've got a new ship.
Yes.
For southern Patagonia and Tierra del Fuego.
Yeah, a brand new modern ship. It's actually just going to be put in the water here in mid-December, and then for its inaugural departure, and then from there in January, starting to let people on. I'm excited about it because 2 years ago they removed one of the other ships. Australis always kind of had two ships in the water. They removed the Via. Now we just have the Stella and the Ventus, and it's just one of the best ways. It combines Ushuaia and then Punta Arenas.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up close and
personal. Show you a map here in a second.
Yeah, it's up close and personal. It's a different experience for Patagonia because you can get a little closer to the wildlife. You can be up close with the glaciers, and it's a very photogenic destination. So you're going to see some of the different itineraries that you have there, and heading out to some of the bays and a lot of those glaciers. It's just massive, stunning glaciers that are really going to be just something that you're going to take home with you.
And the Australis vessels, the service and the food are outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, excellent guides too. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And depending on it's basically a North American winter departure. So October, November through April.
Exactly.
Because
which is their
it gets yes, it is their summer. It gets cold there in their summer, or their winter, our summer. So it gets pretty brutal weather.
Yeah, we're running just a little bit long, but I want to just touch on Patagonia real quick because, again, it is our winter, their summer destination. We're looking October through April. However, there are more and more people, and you can't do the Australis or the cruises.
Correct, but you can go to Patagonia.
Exactly, going to Patagonia, staying at the lodges. A little bit less wind that time of year. There's some benefits of doing it. It's weird. It's in the winter, but it's less wind. And there's certain other comforts. You can still do most of the trekking. A little more snow caps on the mountains, but we're definitely seeing some more demand and interest in it. So it doesn't mean it's a closed-off destination.
Oh, no, I was just talking about the cruise itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, not all of the lodges stay open, during that time period, but a few of them do.
Yes, very true.
All right, so all those exclusive experiences that you were working hard to get, and we're just going to feature a few of them. But these are some of our favorites.
We're always trying to discover.
Who doesn't want to jump off a waterfall?
I do, but yeah, exactly. We're trying to discover as much new product as we can and develop it. Costa Rica being one. Out in Arnall, it's been the iconic soft adventure destination for years.
Correct.
There's so much to do around the volcano and the hot springs and kayaking and zip lining. We've added a little bit more, maybe moderate adventure, a little above the soft. So
this might be in the more moderate range.
So maybe for a bit more of the adventurous clients looking to do some rappelling and jumping off waterfalls. It's
like surfing down a volcano.
Yeah, a little bit of ashboarding in Nicaragua.
And then cooking in Rio.
Yeah.
This is cool to see.
It is. You see the plate there of feijoada, which is a traditional dish and Brazilian dish. It's very rich, You know, it's like a bean stew with a variety of different meats that we don't need to get into the specifics about.
It is so good.
It's good.
One of my favorite dishes.
It's rich. It's very rich. I
like cassoulet, the Brazilian cassoulet.
At the bottom here, you'll see this moqueca. That's my favorite dish. Yeah, my wife makes a very, very good moqueca, which is it's a fish stew, and it's just extravagant. Really, really good.
It's starting to drool already.
Watering right now.
Just thinking about it. All right, this is pretty cool. The private trekking in the Rainbow Mountain.
Yeah, so you see it says grueling right there in the description, and you definitely need to emphasize that to your passenger. It's a 14-hour total day because of all the transfer, but 10 hours worth of trekking, and it is high altitude. You're talking about 16,000, 17,000 feet up in the...
Definitely don't want to do it the day after you get into Cusco.
No, or, you know, maybe not right after the Inca Trail or right before the Inca Trail, you know.
Maybe after.
I guess maybe after you acclimated a little bit. You'll see these pictures everywhere. The New York Times has some articles about it. It's just a very popular spot. We are going to likely in the future be offering an overnight option as well with some camping. This is just a day trip out from Cusco. Again, people need to be in really good shape to do this, but it is worth the trek. You see how colorful it is out there.
Yeah. And then Peruvian cuisine. This is a ceviche by bike.
Yes. Yes, I know.
And back.
Yeah.
But Lima's really flat, except when you're going down to the coast or the beach.
Yeah, it's going to be more in the Barranco area, some of the flatter, away from a lot of the vehicles out there. But, you know, Peru and Lima in particular is very focused on Epicurean. It's all about the cuisine, the ceviche being the primary dish that most people go there for. There's a lot of different kinds of it. You see a little bit of octopus in there. It's just, I went to a...
7-fish ceviche, it looks like.
Yes.
Oh.
Looks pretty
good. All right, we're getting
food.
Hungry. Okay. So City Plus soccer rivalry. Explain that.
I'm a little biased here. Maybe this was a personal development of a product because it is the Buenos Aires City Tour where you're going to get to see the Recoleta Cemetery, got to San Telmo, see La Boca. On top of that, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the Boca Juniors Stadium, La Bombonera, and you're also going to go to the River Plate Stadium, El Millennium. Both of them are, you know, it's very rich in rivalry and history, steeped in tradition. You see a picture there, Diego Maradona used to play for Boca. Anybody who has an interest in soccer, Argentina for South American soccer is the home of it all. I mean, it's argued that Argentina and Brazil is the home of soccer in general.
Yeah. All right, then Gabriel Garcia Marquez. He's a writer.
Of course.
I'm joking. He's probably not the only great Colombian writer, but he's one of the top ones, definitely.
Certainly, and it's just you're talking about a 2-hour tour where you get a focused, where you're talking about somebody specific. So I like those walking tours where it's not just a general overall description of a city. It's more of not just a lecture, but kind of a back and forth description of, you know, who this individual was, where he lived, where his passions came from, his roots, and why he wrote what he did write. So anybody who is, you know, tossed that into their itinerary, reading Cien Años de Soledad or, you know, and Magical Realism beforehand is perfect.
Good.
Cartagena's beautiful.
Cartagena's beautiful, so you can see it through the eyes of one of its most famous writers. Handpicked properties. We've got a lot of them here, so we're just going to get through these pretty quickly.
I think I'll just take over real quick and just kind of go through some of the new properties that we have. I'm really excited about this, just in southern Guanacaste and the Nicoya area. Really gorgeous beachfront property, really nice and modern. It's bungalow styles, intimate. What I like about it in Nicoya is it's outside kind of your general tourism zone of Guanacaste. It's a little bit further south down there. It's considered the blue zone, so really high life expectancy, high satisfaction with life, a lot of yogis out there. Interesting place to be.
San Ignacio. We're in Belize, folks.
We are. I'll try to give a preface real quick before the property. So this is out in the Cayo district of Belize and near San Ignacio, just above the city of San Ignacio, near the ruins of Cajalpech. The Rumors Resort is I like it a lot because it was totally renovated. They have this beautiful infinity pool. You can walk right to the ruins from there if you wish. Also family owned. It's this young couple that owns the property, and they've made a lot of improvements to what it used to be, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, they really did a good job with it.
So Roatan, out in Honduras, I talked just briefly about it earlier. Underrated fun and sun destination. This property itself, Infinity Bay, is very modern, condominium style. It is definitely kind of that Caribbean relax, maybe go snorkel and do some scuba diving out there. Lots of options, very modern, as you can see from the pictures in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Good for families.
And all that reef.
Yes. Very excited.
We're in Nicaragua here. We got this one. That's nice.
So tomorrow, actually, we'll have a whole group of people who are out there doing an inspection.
In Rancho Santana?
Yes.
Where's this at?
It's out near San Juan del Sur.
Okay.
And it's interesting because if you look at the pictures, it's this colonial style. Look, it almost looks like it could be in
really
Granada.
Cool. Yeah.
However, it has access right to the beach nearby, and it's really just a unique it's a unique spot because it has that the location that maybe doesn't match the feel of it, but in a good way, I think.
Yeah. No, it looks really nice. I checked it out a couple days ago.
Out in Bocas del Toro.
Now we're in Panama.
In Panama is Azul Paradise. You can see it's one of those bungalow above water properties where you can walk out onto the beach.
But look at that. That's some nice beach for Bocas.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, right there. So I definitely would want to
few.
go. Yeah, it's one of the few. That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah, so the archipelago of Bocas del Toro is really well known for a lot of the snorkeling and the turquoise waters. And then they have these kind of hidden beaches, not in the major destinations where the hotels usually are.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of why this is such a great property.
This is really nice property.
Yeah.
I want to stay there.
Okay.
And then Inca Terra, and we're in Peru, the Sacred Valley.
Yeah.
And we have one of the Inca Terra properties.
This beautiful property, I stayed there last year I stayed there. It's up on a hill overlooking the valley. It's just a beautiful hotel. The Sacred Valley is a wonderful place to spend 2 or 3 nights before going on to Machu Picchu.
Highly recommended to spend the 2 or 3 nights there. It's the lowest portion of the Cusco Machu Picchu area, so you get a little bit acclimated as well. And then in Cusco?
I inspected this in
I thought you were saying you were going to stay here.
No, but I will stay there. This is very much a boutique property. It's up in the hills in Cusco.
Outside of Cusco.
Well, no, it's in Cusco. It's about a 5-minute walk downhill to the Plaza de Armas.
Oh, that's not far at all.
No.
Good.
It has a beautiful view of Cusco at night. Stunning.
Old Town Cusco?
Well, the whole area.
Oh, the whole
area.
Oh, nice.
So it's a very small boutique hotel. It was a residence, formerly a residence. It's easy to walk down, but you want to take a taxi back up. It's a very special place.
Yeah, it looks really beautiful.
It is.
Yeah, great shots too.
And even though it is small, we do have availability there. We have allocation.
So take advantage of that, folks.
Another beautiful
property in the Barranco area.
Right, and Barranco is that very special district in Lima with art
definitely my favorite
galleries
area.
and my favorite too. And this is a restored home that's been turned into a hotel. Gorgeous.
Yeah, and I think that's going to happen more and more. There's still some beautiful places there that need to be turned into boutique hotels.
Don't overlook Lima.
No, I was blown away. Really. I didn't expect to fall in love with Lima, but I definitely could have spent 3 or 4 more nights there to really experience it. And I already spent like 2 or 3. Anyway, Valparaiso in Chile.
Yeah, so also kind of a underrated destination where there's just historically rich and architecturally complex. A little bit of San Francisco-y with these big hills coming up, really colorful buildings. The property itself is really hip and modern. And boutique, unique in a lot of ways.
Kind of like Valparaiso.
Exactly. Very much so. Very artistic.
And Ushuaia going down into Argentina and Patagonia.
Yeah, exactly. Down in Ushuaia at the edge of the world there in Tierra del Fuego. The the property has these spectacular views, really large windows, wonderful public spaces. You can see the lake from there. It's outside of the city center. You're talking about intimate luxury outside of the city.
Yeah. Salvador.
Yeah, special place in my heart. I used to live there. It's the city itself is the largest African community outside of Africa. It's really diverse combination of indigenous cultures, and because of the African slave trade, the food is just spectacular.
This is a very beautiful property.
The property is very boutique. You see this rooftop
modern
pool and bar up there. The views are very nice.
I could just sit there and drink a caipirinha, no problem. And the new boutique property in Manaus in Brazil.
Finally. We've been waiting for another property in Manaus. People tend to do the Eco Lodges or the cruises out there, so trying to get them for the pre or the post night into a quality property. We have one now, years in the making. It's finally complete and located in the city near the Opera House, so there's a bit to do out there. And I'm excited to have it on offer.
I think this insight is in the brochure, isn't it?
It is.
Good.
Gina there.
In Ecuador. You can see Michael in Uruguay?
Uruguay, yes.
And then you can see Lee in Peru.
Yep.
So that's the brochure. So if you haven't ordered the brochure, 2018, 2019, it's available online at AvantiDestinations.com. You can also book on AvantiDestinations.com. You got to click on Central and South America in order to check out some of the stuff that we've got covered today, as well as all the other options that we have. You can always email us at request@AvantiDestinations. That is in both for new quotes as well as existing quotes or bookings. And then you can always reach us at our 800 number, 422-5053. And I've got approximately 2 minutes left to answer questions. So I'm going to go, probably going to go over a little bit, folks. If you want to stick around, that's great. Well, we're not doing too bad. So there was some questions as far as the Galapagos, I think that just want to cover the two basic questions. We did talk about families, the minimum age being 7, great for, tweens. I think if I was a tween, I would totally have loved it, but instead I had to go to someplace non-international. Anyway, we won't get into that. I think that also, if you're looking for any information, we do have a fair amount of information on the Galapagos on our website. And the great thing is that all of the people, if you, is it South America, I think is the prompt? You get the Central America and South America prompt.
Exactly.
Click on South America and talk to somebody if you have any questions. You can also email us. Everybody who responds to the emails are, very knowledgeable as far as the destinations and connecting everything. So we'll just keep on moving on with that.
I think I can answer a couple quick questions here. Just asking, how many boats we have. We currently have about 16.
He's talking about the Galapagos.
Exactly. So focused here on the Galapagos with a lot of Galapagos questions and just being there. So currently have about 16 boats. And then there's a few extra yachts as well. So it's about 17 or 18 total we're looking at.
We got two that are pretty, like 100 cabins, right? Or 50 cabins?
50 cabins. Maximum 100 passengers is what you could have in the Galapagos.
Yeah.
And we do have 2 ships that are 48 cabins, 49 cabins or so. That's the Legend. And then the Santa Cruz 2. The difference between doing a smaller boat and a larger boat, pros and cons to each. The larger boat is typically going to be, we talked about swaying side to side, so it's a little more rhythmic when there is swaying, and the smaller boats might be, shifting side to side. Exactly. Thank you.
You become one with the sea.
But in terms of the experience, you still go to your excursions in a Zodiac with your guide.
Correct.
And you can only have X number of people with the guide, so
still a personal experience on when you're going to the actual islands or in the.
So the larger boats just have more naturalist guides. So it's always going to be a very similar ratio between naturalist guides and the passengers.
So we always get this question. I knew it was going to be there. The best time to go to the Galapagos? All year round. Depends on what your clients want to see and do.
No,
Uh-oh.
I'm going to amend that. No, I really think that September and October, it's okay to go in September, October, but the water was a little bit colder. We had the currents were a little rougher. I think I would recommend November through July.
Yeah, August potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were there September right now, and one of the benefits of going this time of year is there are some reduced rates for sure. There's some good freebie specials, including some free airfare that we have as well. But it is true that the water is a little bit colder. In particular, in September and October, the boats often do dry docks, meaning they're renovating their ships. So that tells you something right there that they're kind of taking advantage. There's this undercurrent that brings up some sediment from the water. So even though there's more fish in the water, it's a little colder. It's hard visibility for some of the snorkeling, and depending on where you're going. So, I would say, again, September, October, probably not the ideal time to go. Not to say you can't go.
Right.
And I mean, I loved it. That was the one and only time I've been there, and it was incredible. And that was at the heart of what we're talking about with this cold water and
the wildlife was abundant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
They didn't care.
No, they didn't. They liked having you there.
All righty. So we did have one question as far as some of the products that we covered not being in the 2017-2018 brochure. And I just want to note that this is what's new for Central and South America for 2018-2019. You'd say probably, what percentage would you say of all the products that are in the 2018-2019 brochure are bookable right now?
Everything.
Everything.
Everything is bookable.
That's what we wanted to hear.
Yeah, it came down from the top. Don't worry. There was a lot of pressure to make that happen. So everything is bookable.
That's great. So, some of the best times to call are between 9 and 11 p.m. or a.m. Pacific time, and then maybe after lunch too. Then we have the most amount of people that are on the phones. We've got a lot of people traveling right now. So it's always something to think about. They're out and about experiencing the destinations, which is typically what we do in the fall. You can always email us at request@AvantiDestinations as well as giving us a call or checking us out online. So with that, I think we answered all the questions. I've got a couple of follow-ups that I will do with you all that ask some specific questions in particular. So I'll address those via email here in a bit, but thank you all for attending. Hopefully you got a lot of great information, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.